So this week we're going to be building off of motifs. We're going to be building melodies off of motifs using Soundtrap, and we're going to use our Stockton Z numbers to be the starting point of our composition. So let's take a look at what that would be. So I'm going to go to the assignment, and I'll open up the criteria here, and let's go through it a little bit. You're going to create an 8-bar melody, very simple, accompanied by a drum beat, something to vibe to, and a tonic bass drone. I will show you what that is. Okay, your melody will be developed from a motif that is based on your Z number. Okay, so what we're going to do here is everybody has a Z number, and most people's Z numbers start with at least Z00. And usually this is followed by 6 digits. For example, you have this one. Okay, so it's Z00309413. Great. You're going to compose a melody based on a motif that is 4 to 6 numbers of the last 4 digits. 4 usually works nice for this. Okay, so I highly recommend doing 4, but if you want to use 6 as your opening motif, you're certainly welcome to, or you could use 5. I'm going to, so each number is going to correspond to a scale degree, and we're going to dissect exactly that as we go along. Okay, so what happens if you get a 0 or a 9? Okay, because, right, we only have 8 notes in the scale. Well, if you have a 0, skip over it. So if you're using 6 digits, use 5. If you have a 0 in the middle of your number and you're using 4, substitute one of the other numbers. If you have a 9, okay, treat that as a 2. Okay, there's a reason for that, which we'll get to in a later class when we start talking about extending chords. So in this example, if I had a Z number, Z00309463, okay, if I had that, my 4-digit motif would be this, okay? So let's see what we'll have here. So we'll be working with 3, 9, 4, 6, 3, which will give me D. Well, let's put this together here. So if I'm in the key of B flat, all right, let me open up a new document. So let's take that number and work with it. So this is our number. I'm going to copy that, go to my new document here, my new thing here. Okay, so as I said, if you're starting with a 9, it's going to be a 2, okay? But I'm going to be starting 3, 9. I skipped the 0, okay? So actually, this is the number I want to copy right here. So that's going to be my actual thing that I'm using. I could have just done 9, 4, 6, 3, but I'm going to add the extra note. So if I'm in the key of B flat, right, if I count up using my keyboard, if my first note's always going to be the root, then a whole step up from that's going to be C, then a whole step up from that's going to be D. I'm still building my major scale. Then my half step after that will be E flat, and then another whole step F, G, A, and then back around to the octave, which is B flat. So if I number these, I'll get 1, 2, or in this case maybe 9, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so let's not worry about this. So what is my motif going to be? Okay, well, based on this map, my motif, okay, will be, so if it's starting, it will be D, and then 2 or 9 will be C, 4 would be E flat, 6 would be G, and 3 again would be D again. Okay, so this is going to be what I'm going to use. D, C, E flat, G, D. So now what I want to do is go to Soundtrap. Now do it right from the assignment. Go right into here. And I'm going to start my assignment. There it is. Okay, so I opened that right from there. Now what I've done for you is just loaded a piano sound. Everybody's will open like this. And I've given you the 8-bar section where you're going to put this. Okay, so let's take a look at the list of criteria on the assignment. The rules are here. You should review these before you do this, but what I want to do is jump right down here to the process. So we'll first make sure you're watching this video. We did this part. We created our intervals and figured out what our Z number motif is going to be. We're opening up Soundtrap. And what we want to do is create a drum beat or use one. So you can either create one like you did last week, or you can just use a loop. So for this, I'm going to find a loop. And let's see here. I'm going to go to drum. So you can try out different drum beats here. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this in. So now I got myself a little drum beat. Okay, something to work with. Let's see here. And you know, it's kind of fun, kind of good to start with a drum beat because it kind of gives you something to vibe to while you're working. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is let's look at the assignment and let's see here. Create a track and choose a melodic instrument for your bass drum. Okay, well, we haven't done that yet, so let me show you how that works. Okay, so I am going to look for a bass instrument. So I'm going to click over here and open this up, and this time I'm going to choose guitar and bass. And I'm going to click over here to view all of the different ones that are available. And for this one, I'm going to use a synth. Okay, there's no rule as to what you use. Okay, but it is good to have something that has sort of a long sustain to it, rather than a short, stubby one, kind of something that's kind of long. Okay, so like, let's see here, like this. You hear how that just kind of sustains. So when you click on these, they play you like a little example part. Okay, so I'm going to use this. Okay, so I'm just going to select that. Now, it's a good idea you really could just do something like this if you wanted to. Okay, I'm just going to make this track and I'm going to do this. And now all you have to do for this assignment, there's no more, it's not any harder than this, is to put in a note that is the root of your key, which is, in my case, I picked B flat. So if I took this and just dragged it all the way across my part here, you could do so. If you wanted to, and that's all you wanted to do for your assignment, you could do that. Additionally, I could make it so that let's zoom in a little bit here. I could make it so that it starts on, let's see here, where's my B flat again? Let me get my pencil. I could do something like this. Of course, let's see. Now that's going on a bit longer than I want for what I want to do. So let's say I could have one start like every 2 bars. Okay, so something like this. So I'm option dragging to copy. Let's option drag again. You gotta make sure you see that plus sign when you're doing this. So this is another approach. another thing you might want to do, which this is kind of a new thing here for us. Okay, so let me show you this. If you click over here on instrument, you get a keyboard. And if you notice, you see these letters that have nothing to do with the actual notes that are being produced. Okay, so what that is those are corresponding keyboard letters. So if you don't have a MIDI keyboard, like I suggested you get in the first class, you can use these. So that, for instance, J is the B flat. So if you wanted to play a part in, okay, you could do it like this. So I am going to do just that. Now let's make sure our metronome is on. Why? Because I need to hear the count. I need to hear when it's time for me to go in. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna hit record and I'm gonna use this J key. I'm just hitting the J key on my keyboard and I'm playing that rhythm because it goes with the drum part. Okay. Now usually when you play these things in, they don't come in perfectly. So what I'm going to do is go to my piano roll, make sure all the notes are selected, and I'm going to go up to edit and I'm going to do something called quantize. And what that does is it locks everything right on the beat. So it's not off just a little bit. It puts everything right into the grid, the rhythmic grid. Okay. And when you do this, most of the time you're probably, as we're starting out with parts like this, you're probably going to pick 1/16. Okay. Now that just locks it in. Okay. And if you want it, if your bass is too loud or too soft, you can change it. So now it's time to create our melody. So let's put our melody in. So I've created this piano track up here for you. And as a review, our melody is going to be, our motif is going to start with D, C, E flat, G, D. So let's try that. So I'm going to go in here. Now you have to make sure your first note is the length you want it to be. Okay, so let me see here. My first note's going to be D. You want to set the length right away. Okay, so if you look at the grid here, what I want is I want this to just cover the first part of this grid right here. Now, once you set your length, the rest will come in properly. So they'll come in with the same length. It defaults to whatever you last set a length to. Okay, so this is... So this should be good. And I'm basically going to make it so that this just fills the line, one rectangle or part of this grid. So let me continue. Where's my E flat now? And then I need my G. And back to D again. Okay, so here's what I get. These are the cards I have been dealt. Okay. Okay, whoops, that's off a bit. That's all right. Let's fix that. I just went a little too far ahead. Let's listen again. Okay, and that's okay. You could actually leave it like that if you want, but I'm going to show you, you can vary the rhythm a bit to start with. So I am going to vary this rhythm. I'm going to just drag this out a little bit longer to about there, and then move this note to here. Let's see. See, I'm making them longer to fill out. This is an aesthetic choice you can make. I'll show you the differences. Okay, so... Okay, I like that. Had I not lengthened those notes, it would have sounded more like this. And you might want that. Let's try just lengthening the last note and see what we like. I think I like them both long. Just an aesthetic choice, no right or wrong. Okay, so that sets up my motif. Now, remember, all we have to do is we want to use this 3 times in our 3-time repetition. So what I'm going to do is copy this, and I'm going to start it at the second bar now. Okay, so I've got an exact copy, and I'll copy it one more time. Whoops, I want the whole thing. And it's going to go here. Okay, so here's what we got. And then this last part, you can write anything you want as a conclusion. It's your answer. Okay, so this is setting up the question, these three. Remember the question and the answer. Now, we can do a number of various different things here. For instance, let's just have some fun with it. So let's see. Now maybe I just want to take this note out the second time through. Let's see what that's like. And then because I did, maybe this note has to be longer. Okay, so that's one option. All right, let's do that. I'm going to undo that. And another option would be to transpose this a bit. So I could take this set of notes and move it to another spot. But remember, if you do this, you have to check and make sure all of your notes are landing in the key. See that G flat? That doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to move that up to here. And actually, I can kind of just move this wherever I want, really. Let me just delete that now. So look, I'm still using my original motif, but I'm just varying a little bit. So there is repetition with variation. And if I wanted to, I could do another. I could move this to another spot. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. Well, first of all, we have to see. See, I can just move some things around. Let's check it out. Now, I actually like that, but it's not in the key, so I blew the assignment. So let's fix it. Let's see. Let's hear the whole thing. I'm just listening and trying new stuff. Nothing scientific here. Okay, so let's go to the beginning. And if I want, I can even make this note longer. Look at that, let it. And now I'm just gonna put in some notes for an ending. So let's see here. This is gonna be in bar 7. Oh, I think see, I can try them over here. Okay, I like that. So I could, if I want, I could play it on the keyboard. So I'm going to try that. So that's R, E, and a period, and a comma. Okay, yes, I know it's silly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hit record. And when it gets to the end, I'm going to play that in. Okay, so let's see how this sounds. Now, the only thing I might want to do at this point is change my sound. Now, if I'm happy with my piano, then I'm happy with my piano. But if not, I could change this sound. And I'd like you to try to change a sound to get a sense of some other things that are here. So let's see here. Let's use a synth for this. And let's see here. Let's go to a lead. That is a lead line, right? And I don't know. Let's just try one. I think that one would work. Okay, so let me try that, and I'll just load that in by double-clicking. Let's see what that sounds like. A little loud, so I'll bring it down. So, building a melody off of a motif and having this imitation and repetition a few times to set people up for something else is the key to great melodic writing. And as I showed you in the previous class, that is present in almost all music. I don't care what the genre is, it will be there. And like I said, you might never write a great melody this way, or you might not always write a great melody this way, but you will never write a bad one when you're thinking this way. So how would this function? Well, this could be the first 8 bars that might get repeated for an actual song. It could be something that somebody might sing. This could be a synth line that would go behind a section while somebody's rapping over top of it. It could be something, in a film. There's a ton of ways we could go with something like this, but you will never go wrong with melodic development if you stick to motivic development, imitation, repetition, imitation, and of course, some form of variation. One more time. And there's only one thing I wanted to show you before we get done is if you're looking for that bass sound, back to the bass sound, okay? If you're looking for that sort of trappy kind of 808 thing, if you go to the bass synth, actually, this one, bass kick, you get those. There's a whole set of them, all different types of sounds. So if you're looking for that kind of sound, again, when you preview these, the examples aren't necessarily what's going to be played. They're just showing you examples of somebody playing them. I like that one. Okay, so I think this is good. If you get something looking like this, you're in good shape. And as usual, always make sure you save when you're done.